Welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Rin. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Let's paint together today. I have this spread in my sketchbook I drew a while ago in preparation to film of this little mouse warrior. This was very much inspired by the book series Redwall. If you've never read them, no, this is not sponsored. I just like to yap about things I love. If you've never read these books and you like fantasy book series and you like books with animals, they're wonderful books. Highly, highly recommend. But this little mouse warrior was very much inspired by the kind of main character overall. I don't know what to call him, but he's kind of like the father of Redwall, Abbey. Martin the Warrior. If you've read the books, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I ended up drawing this before I started my Inktober series. And if you've seen any of my Inktobers, first off, thank you for watching them. But Philip Mouse ended up being kind of like built off of this mouse. So when I was painting this, I kind of wanted all of the colors to be a little more dusty and not quite as vibrant and bright as I usually want to color my pieces. I wanted them to kind of look like this was a photograph, or like if nostalgia could be a color palette. I don't think I really achieved the look I was going for in the end, but it was nice to go into a project with kind of having a color palette in mind. I'm not very good at that usually. I highly recommend doing it. I know it's really good and I paint way faster when I do that, so I can say like it is well worth the time. But a lot of times for me, painting is just sitting down and kind of not thinking and just going with what feels the best. But this one, I kind of wanted it to feel like something like a snapshot of a memory or a snapshot of time. So I went with my pastel palette I use all the time. I'll have it linked in the description below. When I was making my shadows, I tried to still choose colors that were a little bit less bright and a little bit more deep in value. I drew these flowers kind of as a honorable mention to a couple of the characters from the books as well. There's a character named Rose and then another character named Cornflower, which are both kind of connected to Martin the Warrior's character. So I wanted to draw flowers on this page just as kind of a little nod to that. So here I'm painting some of the supplies that I imagine is in this particular mouse's backpack. A loaf of bread, some vegetables, some cheese of course, some fruit, and a map. I don't know where that map's taking him. Somewhere though, I'm sure. Or a scroll. Maybe it's not a map. Maybe it's a scroll with a riddle on it. That is much more Redwall themed. Here I'm painting the backpack. This also became kind of the blueprint for Philip's backpack as well. So this whole page ended up being kind of inspired by this quote that just popped into my head. I know I've seen this used in other art, but that even a warrior needs rest. So thinking about that quote made this image pop in my head of this mouse sitting against a tree, leaning against a tree. And then I kind of just built off of that. I ended up drawing the mouse with his sword and his shield right after, and then just drawing in all the supplies to fill in all the spaces. I ended up really liking how this corner of the page turned out. I really love at the end how my tree turned out. It reminded me a little bit of like the old original Winnie the Pooh art. So I was really happy with how that turned out. The rest of the page though, I don't know, this page just isn't one of my favorites in my sketchbook. I'm sure if you draw, you understand that feeling of just not being 100% satisfied with your work. I ended up thinking at the end of it, maybe I should line this with ink. I only lined it with colored pencils. I end up using colored pencils over it. So let me know at the end of the video, please, if you think I should go back and line it with ink. I don't know. I always show my mom when I'm done to get her opinion on if there's something I should change or if she thinks it looks good too, because my mom is also an artist. And she thought it looked good. So I don't know. Sometimes, you know how when you're drawing something, you kind of need to take a step back for a day or two to kind of really get a good grasp on how you feel about it. But also thinking about this quote that even a warrior needs rest. I think it's so easy, especially when you're trying to build an audience and a platform as an artist, to feel really driven and like you gotta keep up with all the trends or keep up because the algorithm will not favor you if you're not posting often enough. So I was also hoping this video and this particular piece of art would be a good reminder that if you're somebody who's feeling like that, and a reminder to myself as well, that your art isn't defined by what the algorithm says, and it's okay to take breaks. Even though I know that's a lot easier said than done, taking care of yourself is really important too, because you know you can't give what you don't have. So when you get burnt out, it can be really hard to make art that's meaningful. So here I'm just going over everything with colored pencils. I honestly use like Crayola colored pencils. I used some Crayola, and then my mom just gave me a bunch of Prismacolors as well. So this was just kind of a mix of a bunch of different brands of colored pencils, but still trying to keep with that more kind of dusty colored, pastel colored theme. I don't know why I'm losing my voice. I was totally fine this morning, but as soon as I start recording, I get so nervous that I lose my voice, so I apologize for that. I recently did a bunch of Pokemon drawings with just colored pencils. I wanted to just work with colored pencils, and I really enjoyed that. I'm going to end up posting them as shorts, but they were super fun, and it's made me really want to work with colored pencils more. I feel like they're just so easy to work with if you are somebody who really enjoys pencil sketching and working with that medium. It makes colored pencils feel so comfortable to work with. here I'm working on my tree. I really loved how it turned out after adding the colored pencils. I don't know, it just reminds me so much of Winnie the Pooh, and that makes me really happy. I love that old Winnie the Pooh art. It's so beautiful. Here I am using some metallic watercolors. I wanted to make the stone on the end of the sword kind of shimmery because it was meant to be a ruby, and then also some metallic to the sword itself and the shield. And then I went in with my Posca pen to add highlights. I'm just starting to enjoy using my Posca pen a little bit more for white highlights because I just really have a hard time with getting white highlights unless I'm using gouache, and I'm just didn't feel like using it for this page. The only thing I don't like about using the Posca pen is I found I have to kind of go over everything twice to make it like really pop. But other than that, I love it. It works great. So here is the finished art. I found when I was filming this, the metallic on the stone of the sword didn't really shimmer. So you'll see in a second here, I ended up going back with some actual glitter and putting glitter over it to make that kind of shimmer so it looked more like a ruby. But yeah, I hope you like how this turned out. Let me know if there's anything you'd like to see me draw in the comments below, please. And I'll see you in the next video. Remember to be kind and stay cozy.